And here we are with the Detroit Lions news, and we have our co-host. It's just myself, Darcy Maville, the real deal Maville, and former Lion Mark Schmidt of the Detroit Lions. When did you play again, Mark?
Late '80s, late '80s.
Yeah,
I keep it kind of vague. I mean, you can go online and find out for really what but yeah, late '80s. That's good enough.
yeah. Well, you got to play with a whole host of a
Yeah,
Hall of Famer, Barry Sanders. First of all, did you
yeah.
not?
Jeff Chadwick, Eric Hipple, Jimmy Williams, Benny Blades. Gosh, it was a good crew. It really was. Paul Butcher, Dennis Gibson, Chris Spielman. We were able to kind of turn things around, and at least they were. I was a small part of it, but it was. And I was there for the coaching change from Daryl Rogers to Wayne Fonz, who stayed there, I don't know, 12 years
Wow.
or whatever it was. So, I was there for all that. And so it was an interesting short ride. So,
Yeah. So, programming note: we are having the 12th anniversary of the Detroit Lions news, and we're going to have an alumni reunion. We're going to have Mark Schmidt, former Lion, Stephon Charles, defensive lineman, former Lion, Stephon Logan, former Lion, Matt Derry with Locked On Lions. So this is just a little promotion video. We're going to talk about the big win, the first win on the road in the Dan Campbell era. Talk about it.
yeah, no, it was good. You and I were in Buffalo for that
Yep.
monster of a game, and
Wow.
that's Minnesota and Buffalo, and Darcy, you and I were there, which was great.
Well, it's great
But
to meet you.
back to the issue at hand, the Detroit Lions and the victory yesterday over Chicago. Just a good team victory. Some things were tough to deal with, and dealing with a quarterback who can pretty much do anything with his legs. He could be the best in the league at that. But there were some bright things that happened, and one of the things that I wanted, and I'm not going to say I told you so, but one of the things that did happen yesterday is the Kennedy kid, the wide receiver, 85, got his chance. And I know it was only one catch for 49 yards or 59 yards or whatever it was. But what I will tell you, having gone through this as a player, when you have a big play, and they say coaches always, they say after a victory, we had guys who made plays. When you make
Right.
one big play and it's a victory, and it's a short margin victory, that will keep you around. That's something that, winning 41-13 and you have one big 59-yard play. Yeah, that's great. In this situation with Kennedy and the play that he made, and I said this kid's going to make some plays. He needs the opportunity. He's been up, down, cut, brought back, cut, brought back. We love him, we hate him, blah blah blah. He's not good enough. You know what? He got his opportunity. He made one big play, and when that head coach says, hey, Kennedy made a big play, in a short margin victory, that will keep you in the league. That will keep you on a roster. Just needed to
And
say
he,
that.
yeah, and he's been, exactly what you said there. He's been up and down and on the practice roster and got cut, and he actually got a touch or a nice big catch taken away from him, which
Yeah.
didn't happen in the Minnesota and Bills game because did you see that? But what a
Yeah.
game! What a game!
Yeah.
Thank
It
you
was,
so
it
much
was
for
great. Yeah. Go ahead.
thank you so much for getting me those 50-yard line tickets at Highmark Stadium in the
Yeah, for our viewers who don't know, my friend Darcy here came down to Buffalo, which is where I basically grew up there in Hartford, Connecticut. But he came in for the Minnesota Buffalo game, and we put him on the 50-yard line, and we took good care of him. And he saw what is being described on the NFL Network and on ESPN as the greatest game played this year, and maybe beyond that. So my friend Coach Darcy here was able to be at that game, and that one's going to go down that's going to be an instant classic on the NFL Network. So the result was not what these people want here, but I'm a Lion myself, and I love the event, as we talked about, Darcy. But I was just great to see a game like that and be part of that, as you were yesterday. And they're talking about it all over the place today. Win, lose, or draw, you just got to appreciate that kind of action and that kind of excitement in a game like that. And it was second to none this year. I would have to say, I mean, you were there. You had my seats. But,
yeah, I know. Thank you.
What do you think? Do you think it was the most exciting game that you've seen this year?
My Lord, it was hard to focus because I was inside the what do you call the alumni lounge in the back there,
Yeah,
and running back and watching the Lions game, and like, oh, golf threw a pick, we're down by 14. How are we going to come back from this? And all of a sudden, I look on my phone. Oh, I guess that pick was taken back, and Bear fans, my phone's blowing up, says, "Oh, the refs are against us again." So it was crazy. And then watching that game, it was unbelievable. It left you on the edge of your seat. And it makes me wonder, can the Lions ever be in this position? Because realistically, the Bills are, 4 years ago, they were in our position.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, they really were, Darcy. I've watched this young kid, this Allen, come along, and after playing in the league, I was in the media, worked in television, radio, and print, and so I follow the game. I don't do that much of it anymore. I do a number of podcasts like this around the country, but I've watched this team kind of come along and watch this quarterback come along. And then, Bean and McDermott, they made a lot of the right deals along the way. And then certain players that are like a guy like a fifth round pick, like a Matt Milano, comes in. Fifth round is good, but the guy comes in and he's playing at a Pro Bowl caliber pace right now. And, you need your draft choices. Tremaine Edmonds inside, also his partner inside, playing well. Tre'Davious White, Poyer, all those guys on defense, and then so many of the guys on the offense, have really developed, as well as the quarterback. And then a nice trade for Stephon Diggs. And you got guys coming along really well. And Gabe Davis, the offensive lines played well. Singletary. This team was where Detroit was, 4 years ago. You're right on that. And we just slowly watched them develop. But it's about good decisions. It's about good job in free agency, and it's about good drafting, and it's about bringing guys in like our 5th and 6th round picks. What about our kid from Oklahoma State?
Wow.
I put him in the class of Milano. And that's what you need. You need those 4th, 5th, 6th round, 7th round picks to develop and be players on your squad for 4, 5, 6 years. It's no different, Darcy. It's no different than these teams that win championships in baseball. Your 6, 7, and 8 hitters are coming through. Okay, it's not all about 1st and 2nd round picks and 3rd round picks. When you see championships in baseball, like the Houston Astros last year, their 6, 7, and 8 guys are productive. Okay, no different from the NHL, where that 4th line, teams that win Stanley Cups, the 4th line is really contributing. It's the guys that are the middle of the road guys, the free agents, those late round draft picks that turn into what looks like a 2nd or 3rd round pick, or even a 1st round pick. Okay. Yeah. And those guys turn into, great players. And that leads you to the promised land and leads you to the playoffs and leads you hopefully maybe beyond that. So that's what Buffalo's been able to do. Detroit needs to try to do that in the same capacity. Chris Spielman, a former teammate of mine, is involved now as the president of operations, which I guess you had a little hand in. Anyway, they got to make some good decisions, and they do, and they got to be good in free agency. I didn't like, on the same subject of this, I did not like getting rid of TJ Hawkinson. Did not like it. I came on this show and I said that. Now they're going to get a lot for him in the future, and I understand that, but I just don't think you can lose a super talented, NFL body like that. Speed, strength, hands. Look at the brains he's got. Catches 9 passes in his first game. I guess that program there, that offensive program there in Minnesota, is so difficult to learn. He's learned it in 2 weeks. So
well, they have David Blau on the
and
roster on the
David, yeah,
practice.
they do. Correct. But like I said, this is, it's a process, and I've seen it, happen in Buffalo. And it's come along, and it's taken a little bit. I said this on Facebook yesterday. I said all of a sudden this Detroit Buffalo matchup on Thanksgiving is looking a little different. Okay. Buffalo now really needs the game. Detroit has all of a sudden turned the corner with 2 straight. Thanksgiving could be a real interesting thing. Now, if it was in Buffalo, I'd say that'd be a pretty tough task for the Lions. But that game's in Detroit. And if Detroit knocks, if Detroit's coming in and they're running on a little bit of a roll, and Buffalo's running a little bit on a downslide, that all of a sudden that game is going to look pretty interesting to me.
And there's a lot of Buffalo fans that are going. They commended me wearing my Lions jersey and say, "You guys are doing really good things." And they come up and I kept chirping them back, say, "Well, you're going to lose on Thanksgiving. Talk about it, Mark." Being a Buffalander.
Yeah, no, I mean it is, and it's friendly. It's friendly rivalry, and it's they're pretty cool. But I go on a lot of shows, and I've obviously done some radio shows here and some podcasts around here because people will ask me to come on and talk because of my past in the media, and then as an All-American player in college and in the pros. So I put my 2 cents in about Detroit, obviously, because that's the way I'm wired, but. Buffalo and Detroit, that game is now, it's going to look a lot. It's just like I said, it's going to look a lot more interesting. Detroit's got to have the game. They're at home on Thanksgiving. There's been certain times over the years that they've played way over their heads on Thanksgiving. And that, and our viewers know that. And, that's the kind of effort it's going to have to take. And Buffalo's having some issues. They are. And there's no question about it. And, that's a game, man, Detroit can pull that off, and that crowd's going to be rocking and rolling.
They are. Even when they're bad,
they're going to be ready for Buffalo because Buffalo's Buffalo, and they saw Detroit. Everybody watching our show tonight saw Detroit or saw Minnesota beat Buffalo in Buffalo. So now our Lions fans are all thinking, all right, now it's our turn. Buffalo's coming to our house on Thanksgiving. Okay, now it's our turn to go after Buffalo. Now it's our turn to beat Buffalo.
And it was the same situation when we went to U.S. Bank Stadium. Like the Detroit Lions were absolutely dominating the Minnesota Vikings for like 49 minutes and 10 seconds until they came back and won. So you never know with the NFL. It's just up-down theories, or you could always win in the NFL. And
go ahead.
And then, the Detroit Lions go to play the Giants. So that is a must-win game. If they win against the New York Giants, they're actually still in the wild card hunt. That even though Green Bay beat Dallas last night, Dallas is holding a wild card spot. The Commanders are holding a wild card spot, which they play tonight, and also San Francisco's holding that wild card spot with Green Bay. So we have the tiebreaker with Green Bay, so we need to get these wins. If we get the next 2 wins, we're sitting at 5 and 6.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be nice. And you're on a roll, and and that's momentum. Just like when this thing, in this league, when it goes the wrong direction, and it nosedives, you get on a roll, and it's things all of a sudden start to go your way, and the ball bounces your way. It is a funny shaped ball. We forget about that. It really is. It's we saw it yesterday with Buffalo on the 1 yard line trying to get out of its own end zone. And, it's the way the ball bounces too for you in that league. And that leads to success or it leads to failure just by chance a lot of times. And, I think things are going to start to go Detroit's way. There's been too many things along the way, Darcy, where it hasn't gone their way, and it's been the last year and a half, and nobody expected a 1-6 start here, and it's been really demoralizing, not just to the players and the coaches, but to the fans, and not just the Detroit fans, because of Hard Knocks. Everybody out there is aware of this football team, or if you're a halfway decent fan, I mean, because of the Hard Knocks thing. I mean, it's put the Lions on the map, and it was, and I'll say this, the most successful Hard Knocks that they've ever had by far was the Detroit Lions Hard Knocks.
I think it put a
Nobody was
sorry.
even close, Darcy. Nobody was even close
I
as
think it
far as
put
the
a bullseye
popularity.
on their back, really, realistically, with the Hard Knocks because they had a little bit of fame and everything like that. Well, we're going to beat those teams because they were working harder than anybody in the preseason in training camp. So I thought that put a bullseye on it.
Yeah, it can a little bit, but I think it attracted a lot of fan base that the Lions normally wouldn't have. I mean, I've heard it. Of course, I spent time there as a player, so it's I hear that anyway, I guess. But it would basically come from fans, the fan base of what they've heard, and it's not people that are just from Flint, Michigan, or Ann Arbor, or Birmingham. It's people that are out in Iowa that are like, yeah, hey, yeah, I was watching Hard Knocks. How are those Lions doing? And and that's been great. But so it was. What my point being is, it's been a demoralizing start, and I just got to believe that just the law of averages, that the ball itself, has got to bounce, Detroit's way. It's just got to start to bounce their way. They're putting the effort in. I worry sometimes with this team. And I've been around a lot of smart people in the NFL and followed a lot of smart coaches and so forth. And I'm not trying to criticize. I worry how good this team is as an X's and O's team. Now they're motivated and they play hard and they go after people on Sunday. I only worry if how good they are, okay, as an X's and O's team. And that's where I will throw something in here. And it's a Buffalo analogy. And it comes from Marv Levy and how good he was, going to 4 Super Bowls. Great X's and O's guy, great adjustment guy at halftime. And you got to have that. You got to have that. It's not all about, kick the other guy's butt. Okay. This is a thinking man's game. And it's always kind of been that way for the last, 20 years. Can you out muscle your opponent? Not really. Can you outsmart your opponent? You're damn right you can.
Oh.
And I worry about it. And I don't know if you've ever, kind of thought that way. And I know you've done a lot of thinking about this football team, Darcy. Does that ever pop into your head where you say, you know what, we're a real motivated bunch here and we play really, really hard, but are we playing smart?
Yeah, that's the problem when you have first-time OC Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. They don't have the experience. Sure, they have. They've all been on other teams, but they never actually had, the rigmarole of being a head coach.
Right. And that's part of it. And a lot of it is experience. And, again, I'll make another, and I'm sorry to do this, but people get it because they're always in the news. The analogy to Buffalo with Ken Dorsey, he had to take over for Brian Daboll, who went to the New York Giants. Dorsey has come under a little bit of fire here in Buffalo because the team is so talented.
Yep.
Okay. And, people are questioning because he puts too much on Josh Allen's shoulders, and we've all seen this. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are in the news every day. All of our Lions fans, understand that. And Dorsey's come under a little bit of fire because here you are, with this enormously talented group of people. But, everything's got to go through Josh Allen, and one team does not make a football team. We're seeing that in Green Bay with Rodgers. When he signed that massive contract, Darcy, I said to you, I'm like, what is he going to do? Throw the damn ball to himself? I mean, seriously, let's give Aaron Rodgers $1 bazillion and he'll figure it out. Well, you know what? That doesn't work. And that hasn't worked up there. And it won't work. And it won't work in Buffalo. Allen's an enormously talented guy, but he's one guy. And no matter how good he is. And that's where Detroit, with Swift and with Goff and with St. Brown and with a lot of the playmakers that we have, we spread it around. And that's a good thing. That really is. And, Buffalo is too top heavy with Allen. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying anything that even Van Pelt didn't say on ESPN last night. They're just too top heavy with one guy. Now, if Detroit on Thanksgiving can go after him and try to corral him, and I think you do spy him. Nobody wants to spy him. You know what I'm talking about.
No,
I hope
I
I'm not.
know
I
exactly
hope I'm not
the
over
mic.
the heads of our fans here, Darcy. But if they can figure it, they can try to neutralize him in what he can do, and say, all right, we're going to take Josh Allen away a little bit, and we're going to make other people beat us.
Mhm.
And that's what I would love to see Detroit do. I mean, that I don't know. Buffalo's hard to scout, how to play against, but they're going to watch that Vikings game film, and they're going to watch that Dolphins game film, and they're going to watch that New York Jets game film. The three teams that beat Buffalo. I'm sure Detroit is watching those three games and going to really, really focus and stay up all night that week of the Buffalo. You're not sleeping. You're not. You got to go. You got to play on Thursday. From Sunday to you're not going to bed. I mean, you're sleeping 2 or 3 hours because you got to be prepared for this team, and you got to come up with every little thing that you can to try to neutralize that Buffalo offense. And I'd love to see Detroit do it. Wow, would I be happy?
And you keep in mind, they just played Justin Fields, and he's one of the up and comers that are taking off and getting 178 yards of rushing, and he did it again. He only got 123, so they have a little bit of experience, Mark, with
Yeah, I agree. And that's
a
great
mobile
analogy.
quarterback.
Yeah, great analogy, Darcy. Yeah, that Fields is something else, and they were they won the game. They didn't control him; they contained
No.
him a tiny bit, I guess. And they won the football game. But yeah, that's a great analogy. That's exactly what Detroit needs to do with Buffalo. And try to and Fields is a phenomenal talent running, and Allen is right there behind him. I mean, as far as his ability is as a runner, I mean, my goodness, he's so much better than I thought he would be. And but that's what Detroit has got to do. You got to spy him. I think that's the way you got to defend him, and you got to take him away and make other people beat you.
Right. So Danny Dimes is also kind of taking on the Josh Allen running attack, and they're 7-2 right now. So I'm worried about the New York Giants here. We need to get this victory. If we don't, do you think we should draft a quarterback in the first round to kind of get like a Josh Allen kind of style quarterback? Because I don't see it in Jared Goff. I don't see him taking off and getting a first down for us. He just doesn't look athletic enough. Like if you ever watch Rocky 3, how Rocky went up into Russia and he put a log over his shoulder and running in deep snow up to his waist.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I just think, Jared Goff isn't the guy that's gonna win us the Super Bowl.
It's you make a good point, and it's an if then situation, Darcy. And you gotta look at it like that. I mean, I am still, as I've said on this show before, intrigued that he got the Rams to the Super Bowl. I don't know. That's still kind of stuck in my brain.
Yeah.
But you do make a good point. And if we don't beat, the Giants, and this thing continues to nosedive, I mean, yeah, of course you got to think like that. I think you'd be foolish if you didn't think that way. To draft a quarterback. It's a quarterback-based league, and it really has been since a guy named Brady came into the league. So it's something that you got to think about down the road. And hopefully we don't have to think about that in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's a real telling time for the Detroit Lions. And I agree with you. I'm worried about the New York Giants and how good they've been all season long. With that being said, some of these teams like Seattle yesterday, they're new to all this success, as the Giants are, and they may stub their toe, and that can happen. These teams are good, but they're not great. And we've even watched Buffalo stub their toe. So, I'm looking at it against the Giants, as you talked about, being worried about it. I am too. But that Giant team is all new. This success is all new, and I'm looking for them to maybe stub their toe a little bit and do it against the Detroit Lions, who have not had the ball bounce their way. And maybe it's time that the scale goes back the other way, and that the wind blows from the east a little bit instead of from the west all the time.
Right. I think the key is to shut down Saquon Barkley. If you shut the run down first, we have a really good chance, even though we're on the road, and then come back and then play that dreaded Buffalo. That might be a little bit upset. I like listening to the media and the radio and the TV. There's a lot of upset Buffalo fans there, and they're a very passionate fan base.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to get in their head a little bit. Maybe I got in their head a little bit because I kept chanting, "In 11 days, you're going to have another L against me," and they just love me. Thank you so much for those tickets. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
I hope
yeah.
I didn't
Oh, yeah.
embarrass you though.
The Buffalo fans, yeah, they had to have you there. I mean, you gotta have a little bit of a comeback for them, because they're pretty. They're a little bit cocky, but they're great people, and that's where I spend most of my time. That's where I'm at right now. For the viewers out there, I'm in Clarence, New York, just outside of Buffalo. Yeah, they it's a situation where they've had some success, but they're having some issues right now. And this is when you want to catch Buffalo, not when they're on a 5-game winning streak. You want to catch them when they're on a 2-game losing streak. And we'll see what happens. They play Cleveland this week, and Buffalo plays Cleveland, and it's in Buffalo. It's a tough task, and for the Browns, but right now Buffalo is, with the 2 losses in a row. They're going back to basics, and I expect them to come out like a house of fire. But you never know. Any given Sunday, and look what's happening around the league, man. There's a lot of craziness that's happening.
Isn't this Deshaun Jackson's first game back? He might be rusty. Isn't it?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
this is a week 12. Isn't it? He had 11-game suspension.
You're talking about Watson. Yeah, not Deshaun
Oh,
Watson.
Watson. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't even know, Darcy, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Yeah, the suspension's up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is week 12. He had 11-game.
Yeah, so I don't know. What do you do? You put him in. I don't know. I mean, if the team is not having a lot of success, do you take the chance and stick him in there right away, or do you wait? I don't know. What do you think?
I'd put him in right away. You paid him all this money, and you're actually not paying him anything this year. So, but he has the highest contract in NFL history. Why not put him in? It's going to be great TV ratings. Do you know what time the game is at? Because I need to self-scout that team a little bit more.
I think it's a 1 o'clock start in Buffalo against Cleveland. So what's the Detroit Giants game? Is that
we're all at 1.
All at 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So both games. Yeah. So I'll do my Buffalo scouting. You do your, and of course I'll catch up with Detroit obviously later. But I'm be interested to see how Buffalo plays against Cleveland. In the deep down, and I know I got probably some Buffalo viewers here. I'd love to see Cleveland win that game, because I want Buffalo as vulnerable as possible. As vulnerable as possible when they come to Detroit. So, sorry, I apologize. I apologize for that, but I bleed Hawaiian blue, so sorry. And then the Buffalo Bills are my kind of my second favorite team. So, but it's all about Detroit. That's what this show is, and they can knock off the Giants, and again, just as I said before, that these teams that are new to this success, look for them to have a stumble, right? I mean, I think there's going to be a stumble with the Giants. I think they're going to lose a game down the road here that you'd say, oh, they're going to win that. Well, you know what? No, I'm not buying that. I'm really not. What do you think?
No,
I'm just not buying.
No. Like
you think they're just going to run the table?
No, the Giants look at their schedule and they go, "Oh, the Detroit Lions," and they put the big W, right?
Right,
and
exactly.
That's what happened to the Arizona Cardinals last year. They didn't even practice, or they were just at the bar late Monday and Tuesday. That's your days off, right? So they're like, "Oh, we don't even need to practice." You know what I mean? So a lot of teams can overlook, and you never know with the NFL. It is. But it is on the road, and that winning feeling Coach Campbell was talking about. Winning is contagious, so you never know. I thought we were going to do a half an hour program. Did you have anything else to say before we do a little plug on next week's show with the Alumni Week? the 12th year anniversary of the Detroit Lions news?
Oh, I
Do you
think
have
that
any
that's
more?
great. I think that that's awesome, and I'm really looking forward to that. It was, and I'm glad you got a little bit of the, yeah, of course, it was still associated with the NFC, North, but
Yeah,
we got you out of Detroit, we got you in
yeah,
Buffalo, we got you to
yeah,
Highmark Stadium, we got a little bit different, a little different weekend for you, Darcy. So, I'm happy that it worked out. I'm happy it was a great game. And you saw Buffalo got beat, so you did your
yep,
scouting. All right.
yep,
So
yep.
now you put it together for it's all about Buffalo on Thanksgiving. That's what I know. I know
Yep.
we got to get by the Giants, but it's all about Buffalo on
Yep.
Thanksgiving, and
Yep.
that's what it comes down to. And I don't know. I picked the game I did pick yesterday, and I'm not sure if I talked to you about this, but I did pick Green Bay to beat Dallas. I did pick Green Bay to beat Dallas yesterday.
Yeah.
I did it on another podcast out of Arlington, Virginia. But anyway, it's that there's going to be some upsets down the road, and the New York Giants are not going to run the table, and the Buffalo Bills are not going to run the table. And this ball is going to start to bounce the Detroit Lions way, and I know I'm being a little bit of a homer, but there's going to be there's this thing's we all know how we're thinking in our heads, oh, this is the way it's going to work out. Guess what? When we think it's going to work out a certain way, it doesn't. Okay, it just doesn't. That's just the way the NFL is, and that's what makes it interesting. So
Right.
that's why I wanted to finish on with that, and looking forward to it. Glad you came to visit this weekend. Really enjoyed seeing you. And I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving, man. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to
Well,
that Bills Lions game. I can't wait.
I'm working on getting you tickets there, my brother. I'm working
Thank
on
you.
it. That would be great. And programming note: the security doesn't want you to be the former players in. You were saying, talk about that story.
Yeah, the
The
main
last time you
concourse.
were there.
Yeah, it was in the main concourse, and some people were coming up and saying hello and so forth. But in the police officers in a very nice way, where you don't want to clog the main concourse, and not that I get that many people coming up, but
Oh,
in this town, in the Detroit area, if you signed a contract and you spend some time with this football team, these fans are they're just there's no words. I can't even. And I've been around, Darcy.
no, I know.
These fans are by far the best in the league, and I always said Kansas City was right there. Buffalo's close, but Kansas City's had too much success, and they're getting a little cocky. But the Detroit Lion fans and the former players that I talked to that have played in the city, man, they are so appreciative to you guys and what it meant to wear that helmet. And even if you wore it for a short time, man, the fan base is just it's the best. And our fans out there need to hear that from a guy who had nothing to do with Michigan, who went to Michigan and saw what this whole thing was all about, and what a great experience. And that's why I root for this team, so many years later, and that's why I really enjoy following them and doing shows like this.
Yep. So it's great to have you on, Mr. Co-host Mark Schmidt. Next week, I'm telling you, this is going to be the greatest weekend ever for at least me and Mark, not
Yeah.
for Mark. He played in the NFL, but for me, I'm just enamored with being able to talk to NFL players. We have Stefan Logan coming on next weekend. We have Matthew Derry with Locked On Lions, former 97-1, the host of Ticket. We have Stefan Charles coming on. We have Anthony Cannon coming on. And we also have our co-host, Mark Schmidt. So stay tuned next Sunday at 6:30. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Detroit Lions News Show, to get all your content and to be able to watch it on your TV. Most people have smart TVs, so you click on the YouTube icon. Do it on your phone too. It counts as two. Go to your YouTube channel, Detroit Lions News Show, and see our ugly mugs. I got longer hair, but I'm better looking.
Easy.
Any last words there, brother?
No, I love you, Darcy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Love spending some time with you over the weekend. A lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to that show next week. Thank you so much, my friend.
I'm looking forward to getting you tickets for Thanksgiving and seeing you again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much.
All right.